Yes. So I have been working for the African Leadership Group for the last decade, and most recently as the founding dean of the African Leadership University Rwanda. And alongside Facebook, we've been a partner with Facebook to run the leadership component of this gathering that's happening today and tomorrow. So my role was specifically to run a couple of workshops around leadership. So I just ran a workshop today on leading effectively, the essential skills, and that's how I got involved. I think it's been great so far. I think the first exciting thing is to see young Africans from all over the continent coming together and building this network, which I think is so critical when you're trying to effect change at a Pan-African level. So to see that group coming together and see the network taking shape and see them connect with each other and learn from each other has been really, really powerful. And secondly, I think one of our objectives with this gathering is to impart them with certain skills. And I can see already after having a chat with some of the participants that, you can start already feeling the impact. Somebody was just telling me how coming out of the session, he had to start reflecting on his own leadership that he's exercising every day in his organization. So I think that's essentially our goal. Our goal is to be able to get these young people to come together, to pause for a few days and to really reflect on their leadership, on their journey, to really think about, okay, am I operating at my most effective self as a leader? Are there things that I can improve? Are there things that I can learn from, obviously, the experts at this gathering, but at the same time from their peers who are here just like them as young leaders trying to have impact on the continent. I was just mentioning network, right? And obviously on the continent, traveling across borders is not the most affordable and certainly not the easiest of things. So to be able to build a network on the continent, because we do need Pan-African solutions to a lot of our problems, it is imperative that we find ways to be able to bring the youth together, irrespective of where they find themselves across Africa. So for me, Facebook plays a very, very critical role in that it offers an alternative to the physical network, which is the social network, right? And today you can, there's so many things that you can do through something like Facebook. You can, Facebook Live an event, and other peers that you're meeting here in this gathering can, see what you are doing, right? People can call into your events through Messenger. People can obviously share updates on what they're doing. People can create communities on Facebook, right? People can post footage of their events, etc. That allows us to bridge that gap that we otherwise cannot bridge because of the challenges of our physical boundaries. I think very often young entrepreneurs underestimate what it takes to become a successful entrepreneur. The global average age of the successful entrepreneur is actually 39 years old. Right? Nonetheless, on the continent, given how young the continent is, it is imperative that we are training entrepreneurs from a very young age. But I think what is very important for our young people to understand is that there is a lot to learn and to engage in that process of learning by doing. Right? So they have to get their hands dirty. They have to start with a small enterprise that is not too complicated. They need to learn, on the job, essentially, what it takes to be an entrepreneur. They need to fail, but they need to be able to bounce as well. They need to be able to pick themselves up. And they need to be humble enough to understand that, they may not necessarily always be successful immediately, but that by having that practice of failing and iterating and changing and hustling and struggling, they are going to build the muscles required to be able to become a successful entrepreneur, right? So my advice to them is to learn. Today they have access to an incredible amount of knowledge, tutorials that are available, interviews with successful entrepreneurs, all sorts of tools that exist, right? So I would definitely recommend that they try to access those, number one. Number two, I would encourage them to enter networks of like-minded people, of young people. And thirdly, I think it's important for them to also build a network of advisors and supporters, people who have a bit more experience, people who are a bit more elderly, who have had the benefit of experience which they do not have. And I think there's a lot of value in learning from experience, and I think if they make sure that they find themselves a mentor, they are going to be positioning themselves to be more successful a lot sooner. Well, in my role as a facilitator, my objective is very simple, is to leave these young leaders with something that they can walk away with that is going to make them improve a little bit in their leadership tomorrow. Leadership is a lifelong journey. We can constantly improve every single day. And if for me these young leaders walk away tomorrow, they have learned a little bit more about how to lead themselves more effectively, how to be a bit more empathetic, how to build self-awareness, how to build empathy with the people and the constituents that they serve. I think for me that would be very successful.